Good morning. Okay, today we have a hard drive. This hard drive had come in with a device and it wouldn't boot and whatnot, so I actually offered them the lab that I go through with, which is incidentally Salvage Data. That's the service I am in bed with that does all my work for me as far as data recovery. It's very expensive, or it can be, I should say. However, I always like to do things in-house first. If I can do that, not to take business away from them, but if I can do it at a fraction of the cost for my customer, then it works out nicely. So this one, they did not want to pay the possible fee to do this because they said that there was not that much really important stuff on this hard drive. So I went ahead and got the replacement. We got the replacement circuit board, or motherboard maybe, I guess you could call it, for this particular hard drive. Anytime we do this, what we have to do is we have to replace, you can't just move a drive over. At least I've never seen it work, but you can't really just move a drive over to a new board and have it work. You have to move over the BIOS chip, which is typically a WinBond chip, which is this one here. It's 8 pins usually. If you can see that right there, that's usually the BIOS chip. We'll have it under the microscope in a second. But always when doing this, as I get confused, there's always one thing that I need to do. Anytime I do one of these, I always mark the original one, or do something, put the word bad on it, so that way I don't get confused, because some of these are literally identical. This one looks to be identical in just about every way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bad board, take the BIOS off and put it on this presumably good board. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise in BIOS chip replacement. Now this may not work, but if it doesn't, that's okay, because it's good practice. That's the chip right there, and as I said, it says WinBond on it. It's an 8-pin chip. That's a BIOS chip. This chip, what it does is it pretty much contains all of the information on that hard drive. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a bit of flux. We'll flux the chip just a little bit. Helps the solder flow pretty nicely. And then we're going to remove it with tweezers, but this is what we're going to use right here, our heat station. So we'll move back over to the microscope and give it some heat. And we always want to remember the orientation of this board. On this board, if anything, you want to remember that the wording, the letters, are upright in this orientation. Easy. Move that over there. Now you can see that the chip is, well, you can't really see from this angle, but the chip is right there. And we're going to take the bad one, put it over there. Now we have the good one. What we want to do, first thing, is put a little flux on this one and remove this one. We're not going to reuse this BIOS. We're going to put the BIOS from the dead or not working drive on here. So we won't be reusing this. These boards are real thin, so it doesn't take much time to liquefy the solder to get these off of here. But you always want to be sure to be really careful because there's other chips and things there. I'm going to try to heat this back up just a bit. I don't think I'm going to manually solder this one this time. Just try to tack it into place like that. Alright, and then heat it up, and you should see it kind of work its way back in place like it just did. If you saw that just kind of move, and the trick is to just give it a nudge, and if it pulls itself back, we're good to go. See that? Good to go. And in a nutshell, that is a micro soldering course, really. I mean, it's just that quick. Now what we want to do is we want to look on the sides of this chip, make sure everything looks good. It doesn't really matter if it is a slight bit off as long as they're connected, because when it comes down to it, this is for data recovery, not to try to get a working drive out of this. I mean, it's an old drive anyway. It's hard to, there you go. Yep, looks good to me. Good. So, all right. So, interestingly enough, I actually threw away, I believe I just threw away the screws that went with this. So I'm just going to get another drive, similar drive, and screw those back on. Just use a couple screws from a dead drive. So I will be right back. Okay, so I have found screws and put this back together for the customer. It turns out it was a Mac drive. I wasn't even aware. I didn't remember that. But anyway, it's a Mac drive. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in the docking station here and wait and see what happens here. Well, there we go. There's the Macintosh hard drive that's working. There's the user. There we go. So it looks like we've got everything, and we're going to use this one program called Crystal Disk Info that I just installed as well, which is pretty nice to check out drives to make sure that they are functional and if there's any errors. Crystal Disk Info. So we're going to go to Disk and go to the Apple disk, and it says everything is good to go about it. So that's awesome. So that just shows that we were able to get this information back for this customer with very little effort, really. That job right there would have been $1,000+ if it would have gone to a company that does data recovery. If you're ever thinking about doing data recovery, you could really get into this business and make a lot of good money doing simply what I just did. It took me all of 3 minutes. It's the knowledge that you're paying for, though, you know. Anyway, so another drive successfully brought back from the dead, and we're going to, as I said, that was more of a exercise in practice. So I'm not charging the customer a dime. I'm going to get their stuff, put it on an external drive, and should be good to go after that, and I'll give them a call to pick it up, and they'll sure be happy about that, I'm thinking. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you, as always, checking out the videos, and have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.